Hello, and welcome to a conversation with the filmmakers of Agent of Happiness. My name is Steven Bognar, and it's my great honor and pleasure to introduce my friends, the directors and producers of the film, Arun Bhattarai and Dorottya Zurbó. Dori, Arun, welcome. Thank you for your beautiful, beautiful film. How are you doing? You've been on the road with this movie now for basically a year almost. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Steve, firstly, for doing this conversation with us. It's a real honor for us. I mean, I think it's been a year since we actually met for the first time at the True Falls Rock Cut retreat, and it's like almost like coming full circle. Um, it's been a very long journey since we premiered the film at Sundance this year. We recently had a screening at ITFA, so it was like almost like for us a symbolic closure because me and Dori we premiered our first feature doc also at ITFA. So both of us we are very excited and we feel very privileged to share our film with people all around the world.
I just watched the film again yesterday, and it's the third time I've seen it, and it's such a touching film. But I was very, when you watch a movie three times or four times, you start to understand how you start to see how the filmmakers made it. And I was really so appreciative of the tone that you navigate with the film. This film is both very emotional about our humanity, about love and loneliness and belonging and loss. And it's so funny. And how you craft something that is both very funny and very touching, very moving, it's not easy. And I realized one of the first scenes in the movie is when Amber and his colleague are talking to the old 84-year-old guy, Tinley, and Tinley says, I used to like my neighborhood, my area better because now it's all congested and crowded. And you cut to a wide shot of a cow in a field, and it's vast and it's beautiful. It's so funny because obviously it's not crowded, but for him it is, right? He's being sincere. And for me, that was like the moment of realizing, like, okay, this is a film, and you are making an experience for us as filmmakers where you're going to guide us both with love and with humor through many, many human emotions. But so I'm curious, when you were filming the movie, how much of that did you already have in your heart, in your head, versus when you found it in the editing?
We worked a lot on how to fine tune the film, and somehow I think many of the subtle humor of the film was coming from the characters itself. This was kind of the biggest creative challenge for us to create this construction because it's a mosaic story, and we knew from the beginning that we would like to follow the two happiness agent, Amber and Gunaraj. Actually, we fall in love with them because they reminded us of the Bhutanese Laurel and Hardy, and they had a really beautiful dynamic. And also, it was very charming. Somehow, the everyday absurdity in this situation, how they are measuring happiness, that they are engaging with people in like very deep conversations, but at the end of the day, they calculate everything to a number, and we thought that this is something heartfelt in this situation. So I think this also gave kind of the basic tone to the film. And what we knew from the beginning, that we are going to follow them on the road. It's going to be a road movie, but we never know with whom we are going to meet during the journey. So all those encounters were accidental. So basically, we had kind of a form, and then we were like filling it up with like encounters and real life stories and real emotions that we captured on the way.
You do it beautifully. I realize we are with Gulanach and Ember for the first 20 minutes. I don't know exactly how long. It doesn't matter how long, but like you really connect us with them for a while. And it's only with Deshen when we see her dancing and performing, and then suddenly we're in a car with her alone. And it's the first time I believe it's the first time we leave uh,
Hmm.
Golanach and Ember, and we're going somewhere else without them. Like the point of view is shifting. But I watched the film with my friend, a filmmaker, Anna Lavatelli, and she said, "This is smart you do it then because we've been hearing answers to the surveys, and it's all numbers and it's not real. And we're you creating a hunger for us to go deeper. And just at the moment when we need to go deeper, then you take us. You leave our guys behind, Laurel and Hardy, as you you leave them behind, and suddenly we're with Deshen and we go deeper. Um, and that's really, yeah, my friend Anna said this is the exact moment when it has to happen. So that's but that like that how did when you were starting to figure out how to tell the story, did you say to yourself, we are allowed to leave Ember and Golanach?
Mm.
Yes. Basically, when we were actually editing the film, because it's a mosaic story, like we have so many characters, we could go so many different ways. Like the story could unfold in so many different ways. But what we wanted to do was that, like Bhutan is such an exoticized country. Everybody knows Bhutan through this whole image of happiness. And so we also wanted to kind of show that in the first 15 minutes that it actually is a very beautiful country. And there are a lot of beautiful people as well who gave us so much access and who are so honest in the way they talk about their own happiness as well. But then we wanted to kind of slowly dismantle that as we enter into Dichen's story, where we wanted to kind of go deep into someone's life and show emotions and feelings that you can't actually measure in numbers. So one of the questions that we are dealing in this film is also whether happiness can be measured or not. So we wanted to kind of use this form to tell this story.
Speaking of the beauty of Bhutan, the film is bold in its use of wide shots. I can't remember a documentary in recent times that uses so many beautiful tableaus. And yet that's like, we're used to close-ups in documentary, and you're trusting yourself in the filming, and us as your audience, you're trusting us to say, no, it's okay to be far away. How did you come to decide on that approach?
I think we had this very lucky situation that following the two agents and going on with them on this journey and capturing all these happiness surveys, it's quite repetitive. Because always the same ritual happens. They invite us in the home. We found a space where where they are going to conduct the survey, and somehow after some time we started to feel that we can have a bit more cinematic control on this situation, and we also wanted to somehow express the official nature of the survey itself, that two government agents in their uniform, in their official manners, asking the questions, and we wanted to create some kind uh, of a stage for this situation when we hear the people replying to the answer, so we also see their environment, and somehow it becomes kind of a tableau, and at the same time also expresses that notion, like the government calculates every individual's happiness index, so everyone becomes kind of a catalog, and we wanted to express that with the visuals as well, and also somehow contrast it in a way when we go deeper into the individual stories, and when we hear the intimate voiceover, that's the moment when we go closer to them.
Yeah, and just additional to what Dori mentioned, also I think by using the wide shots, we were kind of staying true to the pace of life in Bhutan, at least in rural Bhutan, where everything is very slow. And also how people are so much connected with nature, and there is a beautiful environment, which in some way is also helps in people's happiness, I think, when you are surrounded by such beauty around you. So we wanted to kind of show that also through the cinematography.
My breath was taken away several times watching it. But I just love that you trust us with those wide shots and with the pace, because sometimes you have a big wide shot and then suddenly our two agents enter the frame from, here they come, they're at the bottom of the frame and they're walking in. It's so beautiful and human and funny and touching. Yeah, yeah. And you feel what they're about to say. I remember that one shot. There's a guy chopping wood. They just walking to the top, and he's chopping wood here, and they're just watching him. It's it's just beautiful. But okay, but then I feel what you're saying, that as filmmakers, when we're inside, I'm thinking of Deshan and her mother, or the man who planted 108 flags for his
Yeah.
for his wife who he lost, who died. We're much closer, and we're much more less symmetrical frames, more like intimate. And as you're explaining this, it makes a lot more sense to me. But in the editing, you had to figure out who to go to. How did you come to realize, okay, we're going to start here and we're going to go to this, we're going to save this person and we're going to come to this person? Like, how did you figure all that out?
Actually, that was the hardest part because we met a lot of people and we heard a lot of life stories. And somehow I think we chose the secondary characters more in an intuitive way when we felt that people are opening up to the agents and also to the camera, and also when we felt the need that people want to share their stories. And especially, I think this magical moment happened with the teenage girl Yanka, because it was also very surprising for us that from the very first moment she started to talk about her feelings, her relation to her mother, how worried she is because of her alcoholism. And we thought that this is somehow a magical moment because she was waiting for this moment to pour her heart out. And I think that was our intuition. When we felt something like that, then we stayed longer with the people. And we also tried to keep it in mind that somehow when we felt that Amber is resonating to the stories, or all these life stories, it has a slight connection to Amber's story, like in a slight associative way.
Absolutely. His story is so beautiful because you just feel his face is so expressive. He may not say so much, but oh my God, the feeling of longing and loneliness that he has is so powerful. And it's funny, you mentioned Laurel and Hardy, but for me, in the history of cinema, one of the great comedians of many years ago was Buster Keaton, who had a very stoic face,
Yeah,
but very expressive. And
yeah,
I feel Ember is similar, like a stoic, almost still face, but says so much and gives so much emotion, you
yeah.
know. But it's so, I mean, it's funny, the first date when he's talking about marriage, and you're like, no, stop. When you were filming that, did you want to say to him, like, don't do that? Like, how did your relationship with Ember develop over time?
Yeah, it was because we spent over a year with Umber without the camera. Actually, we have a very interesting story of how we met Umber actually in the first place. We met Umber about 10 years ago when we were actually doing our previous film, and two happiness agents, they happened to walk into the house of our previous characters, and they happened to be Amber and Gunaraj. And we immediately fell in love with Amber at that moment because of what you actually already described. He was very funny, but at the same time he had this self-deprecating humor, and but he was a great listener as well. and this image of him doing the survey with our previous characters stayed with us. And later, when we kind of thought about this film, we decided to get in touch with him again. And obviously, for the first a year or so, we were actually building a relationship with him, really talking to him, kind of knowing him, what he's doing, and we realized that okay, he's searching for love, and he himself is not so happy. So we were like, oh, here there's a great premise for a film where a happiness agent is in search of his own happiness. So yeah, it was a very delicate situation, the date itself. But in the beginning, we were really maintaining a distance. And as we realized that they are actually getting very comfortable with us, we started to get closer and closer.
I always feel documentaries are so much about relationships and trust.
Mm-hmm.
To hear that you spent a year, well, first of all, that you'd known Umber from years ago, but
Yes.
that's one thing, that's good. But then to
Yeah.
spend almost a year with him with no camera, that is relationship building. And now it makes sense why the film is so beautifully intimate, and there seems to be so much trust between Umber and you guys, and also Gulanach. All the trust is so strong. How does Umber feel about the film, and has he been to screenings with people?
We had the Bhutanese premiere few months ago in Thimphu, and that was the moment when, of course, all the protagonists in the film already seen it, like before Sundance, but it was the moment when they met with each other for the first time. And yeah, and we felt that Amber was very proud of the film. It was a really touching moment, and I think since the film premiered, like many people are congratulating to him, and like telling him that they can really relate to his story, and I remember the first time when we showed him the film before Sundance, and somehow he saw where we ended the film with the dance on the top of the mountain. I think he was really touched, and he said that now I understand what you were doing.
That's
Yeah, and also I think one of the added values for Amber to be part of the film was also because he comes from the ethnic Nepali community living in Bhutan, and he's the first protagonist coming from this minority group to be in a film. So it was really for him. He really felt proud to be the main character of this film.
Do you feel, I mean, I'm watching it again, I thought, well, maybe this film can actually help build empathy for the Nepali community. Do you think the film could help the government of Bhutan understand that they should restore citizenship for the Nepali community?
We do think so. We do think so because we screened the film in Bhutan recently, and we were very nervous of how people will interpret it because the whole issue of citizenship is a taboo subject in Bhutan. Like no other film has talked about it before.
Yeah.
So we were actually pleasantly surprised that people came up to us and told us that okay, this is the right time that you guys actually made a film where you talk about this about the Nepali community who don't have citizenship in the country. So I think it's coming out in the correct time. It's also because now the King of Bhutan is starting a process the last few years where he's giving back the citizenship to many of the Bhutanese who lost their citizenship because of the ethnic conflict that happened in the 90s. But at the same time, we have a good news as well. I mean, Amber, he got back his citizenship about 3 months ago. So we
Oh,
are
that's
super,
great. That's so good.
yeah, we are super thrilled with it. And well, we would like to believe that maybe even the film helped.
Yeah, good. There's so many moments, there's so many decisions you made as filmmakers, both in the filming and the editing, that elevate this film. It's a beautiful story, but then the craft of your filmmaking makes it all the more special as a movie, as a cinematic experience. And I love the film. It's really
Mhm.
an amazing film. film. And I hope you feel the impact of the film on all of us. My friend Anna said this wise thing. She said it's like the film creates a space for us to reflect on our own happiness. Like, where are we
Mm.
in our life with happiness or the lack of happiness? And it's you have a story full of really amazing people, and it's funny and it's fast, but it's not so fast that you don't give us space. That's an editing, that's a thing you build in the editing, is the rhythm to allow us to have time to reflect. And that's a
Mm.
gift. That's a gift that the film gives us. So thank you.
I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
if you felt that.
Thank you.
And I
Yeah,
want,
yeah.
yeah, and I want to say thank you for joining us today and this conversation with Dori and Arun, and thank you for watching Agent of Happiness. And Dori and Arun, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Steve, for
Thank you
this
so much.
wonderful conversation. It's always nice talking to you.